recently gave a lecture on the effects of AI in your brain to a group of college students. The following audio will be from that lecture, but I'm also going to be showing a page that I'm working on in my comic, Rage of Enlightenment, which you can find at coreykerr.com/comic. Don't ruin yourself with AI.
Today, I want to talk to you about what using AI does to your brain and your ability to think through things and to create, so that you guys can make decisions of when you're going to use it and why. This is Don't Ruin Yourself with AI. AI makes you dumber. The use of it is inhibiting your ability to think creatively, think critically. It diminishes the number of results that you get, and we'll kind of get into a lot of those types of things in a minute. But they released a study that shows specifically that it reduces critical thinking and creativity, especially for anyone without years of experience not using AI. And so that would be you guys, given that you're still learning. So this study took 319 knowledge workers. They noted 936 firsthand examples of using generative AI at work. And what they found was that those with a higher confidence in AI had a significantly decreased critical thinking, whereas those that distrusted AI and had a higher self-confidence in their own skills and abilities were associated with more critical thinking. So ultimately, the biggest thing in the study was that your level of confidence in AI to deliver accurate and relevant and useful information is inversely related to your ability to critically think for yourself. It is a foundational principle to work in this life. Unproductivity is not damned by God's wrath or anger. It's its own damning agent. Has anybody ever gone, just raise of hands if you guys work out or go to the gym or run or anything? Are you doing that type of stuff? Do you show up to the gym and are you like shocked that there's heavy things? Like surprised? Like, why is this here, right? No, you go there because they have heavy things, because you know that lifting those heavy things in different ways is going to strengthen you, right? You're going there for the resistance. You're going there for the challenge. You're going there for the struggle, right? Because you understand on a physical level that without moving your body and doing those types of things, without the use of it, without the struggle and the resistance of that, you can't get stronger, you can't get leaner, you can't get faster, right? That's an integral principle in this physical realm that we're in. And it's true of your mind as well. Louisa Jarvosky, PhD researcher in this field, talks about this in a number of different ways. She says, every time you use an AI tool to perform a task, you are letting it replace the mental effort you would use to accomplish the task, including the potential skill gain from this effort. For example, who navigates with Waze or Google Maps or something like that, right? We used to, when Sister Skulls and I were your age, we had big atlases. They had big giant printed books, and we would get the printed book out and you would have to like memorize the next 5 or 6 turns because you can't look at it on the freeway, right? And I was significantly better at navigating then than I am now, because now I've just offloaded that mental effort to my phone, right? That part of my brain went dark because I offloaded it, right? And there are certain things where I'm okay with that. And there are other things where you should be very careful with it. Okay, however, letting AI consistently and continually replace human effort, often unknowingly, will be a form of unconscious self-sabotage in the medium and in the long term. AI companies know that, and they have been actively encouraging it, as people will need to buy more AI services and support them in basic tasks. Most people haven't realized, but over time, they will become less confident, underskilled, and more manipulatable when they're overly dependent on AI. Do not fall for this trap. So, if you like to not have agency and to not choose for yourself and not think for yourself and be something that is acted upon, offload your thinking and your communication to the machine, and that part of your brain will go dark, and you'll just be a very nice, pliable consumer of the things that they want to shove down your throat. That's what they want. They're looking for control. So let's go back to the study here, okay? And the study shows that the key irony of automation is that by mechanizing routine tasks, mechanizing mechanical, right, by outsourcing that to the machine and software, and leaving the exception handling to the human user. And this is where this becomes really interesting. A lot of argument is made on, we're not replacing people. Because we still need people to make those decisions. Okay? So keep that in mind, that we still need people to make those key decisions, those exceptional decisions, okay? That by mechanizing routine tasks and leaving exception handling to the human user, you deprive the user of the routine opportunities to practice their judgment and strengthen their cognitive musculature, just like not going to the gym, leaving them atrophied and unprepared when the exceptions do arise. In other words, if you don't have decades of experience doing that thing, you're not going to be able to handle the exception that needs a person because you haven't done the routine, mundane tasks. I'll give you an example that's a little bit more clear than the kind of speak that we're going through with the academics. I want you to imagine a wide receiver that's playing for a professional football team, okay? He's being paid specifically to do the really exceptional physical task at a key moment in the game, right? But to do that, he needs to practice over and over and over again and run those routes over and over and over again. But he's good at that, right? It's mundane. So what would you think of him if you showed up to practice and he's sitting in a lawn chair sipping a lemonade and he has hired Boston Dynamics to run his routes for him in practice? And we see this robot going out there running these routes and catching this ball over and over and over again. You would expect, and rightfully so, that he is going to suck at the game, right? When the human is needed, right? He has outsourced all of the stuff that would be really useful to do to get him to that exception, okay? And none of this is making a moral judgment about AI. It's simply a fact that skipping the experience of training deprives you of the results of that training. It's just like somebody who thinks that they can play the guitar because they've spent hours and hours and hours playing Rock Band or Guitar Hero, right? At some point in time, people are going to be impressed at the novelty of your ability to play, one of those really hard songs, but you're not a musician. You don't actually know how to play the guitar, right? You're pretending, you're play acting at doing the thing. It's the form of it, but not the function. So another part of this is they studied the people who had mechanized convergence, right? Access to generative AI tools, and those who use those produce a less diverse set of outcomes for the same task compared to those who do not use AI. Meaning that that's a creative function, right? It's a deterioration of critical thinking, okay? This is where I argue against students who say, oh, I don't use AI to make images or whatever, but I do use it for brainstorming. You're offloading your thinking. You're offloading the reason that they're going to hire you. They're not going to hire you for execution. They're going to hire you for creative thought. They're going to hire you for critical thinking. And if you offload that part of your brain goes dark. So this sounds scary, but there's a number of really good examples here. One of the things that I want you to pay attention to is anybody that tells you that you don't have a choice in something, that it's inevitable and you can't do anything about it, are trying to sell you something and get you not to stop them from doing that, right? And so all of the hype right now that's around AI, one, I strongly believe that it's a financial bubble. It can't sustain itself. It's not going to go away completely, but it is definitely not going to be as hyped as it is now. There's going to be a market reconstruction. Anthropic is an AI development company that does large language learning models that are used for security and things. And recently they came out and said, please don't use AI to apply for a job here because we need to know and evaluate your non-AI assisted communication skills, which is hilarious. And also just this morning I saw that they have posted a job we're looking for a human writer to write all of these blog posts. And the subtext of that is because AI can't do it very well, and we actually need the thinking in person of a human. Hilarious and ironic that this is a company that's trying to replace writers, but they still need to hire writers, right? And 55% of businesses that have laid people off and tried to replace them with AI are regretting that, right? So over half of the people that have said, we don't need these people, are like, oh shoot, we actually did. Right? And there's some huge hire backs that are kind of happening in a lot of those different industries. Goldman Sachs released a report, and part of that report, you have this guy is an MIT professor that is suggesting that AI will impact less than 5% of all AI exposed tasks and will only move GDP less than a percentage point over the next decade. It's not going to have the impact that everybody says it's going to have. Things are going to change. Things are going to be different for sure, which like with any innovation. But right now we're in the hype phase. We're in the inflating of that bubble. And I bring this up because if you buy into that, you do yourself a massive disservice. And when we need people who can handle those exception handling things, and you're reliant on the machine that has replaced you, they don't need you. So you should distrust AI. That's one of the things that came out of this Microsoft study, is that your distrust of AI is directly related to your ability to do your own critical thinking and your own creative thinking and your own problem solving, right? The more you distrust AI, whether you use it or not, the more you do critical thinking, right? So, and let me give you some reasons why you should distrust it, okay? So here is the New York Times reporting that AI is getting more powerful, but it's also hallucinating a lot more. Now, hallucination is a term in AI that's a cute way of saying that it confidently lies all the time. It is wrong consistently. If you were wrong this much, you would fail your courses. 79% it's wrong, and it's getting worse. Where it used to be 33%, it's now 48%. Where it used to be 51%, it's now 79%. Sorry, 51 to 79, it used to be 44%. It's hallucinating, confidently lying, getting completely wrong answers up to 79% of the time. Just for those of you that don't like to do math in your head, you would get a 21% on that test, right? That's half of an F. Columbia Journalism Review went through and did a study talking about AI search citation and how often AI search citation is correct. And they found that 37% of the time it was incorrect. And Grok 3, Elon Musk's favorite little AI that he's trying to roll out, was wrong 94% of the time. So 6% of the time it got it right. Every 100 queries, it got 6 of them right. That's ridiculous. It doesn't allow you to do that judgment. It takes away your strength and your cognitive musculature. WALL-E, right? All the people in WALL-E, physically, that's what will happen to you if you rely on AI mentally, okay? AI is just gonna carry you around in a little chair. It'll just feed you whatever it's gonna feed you, and you'll just take it because you don't know any better. So what I want you to consider, okay, is what to do in this situation. So here's my suggestion as you guys move forward in your school, okay? Don't be scared. It's fine. We get to decide how we're going to move forward, and I want you to be very conscious of that. There is another study that I don't have in here that's talking about metacognition. And what it showed is that people that had metacognitive skills and training were able to use AI and still be creative. Those that didn't metacognate, it diminished their creativity, and they actually were hurt and harmed by that type of thing. MIT did a study where they did brainwave studies, and they scanned people, and they had a Google group that was using index search. They had an AI group that was using AI generation, and then they had just a doing it yourself group, and they had them all write these articles over time. And so they wrote these essays over time. And not surprisingly, the people who did it themselves knew the subject significantly better, were able to quote their own article, understood what was going on, and could confidently talk about the subject. And those that used AI almost recalled nothing. It was a waste of time for them. And they showed that there is a decreased amount of brainwave in their neural scans as they used AI more. It's worse than just watching TV all the time. It actually decreases your work. So don't be scared, but don't shortcut your learning, right? I know some of your classes are requiring you to use AI. You need to follow the instructions and do what you're told in those types of situations. Don't use it anywhere else. I would suggest that you don't use AI in anything in school, in anything in education, because every time you use it, that part of your brain goes dark. And especially if you use it for thinking, for brainstorming, or your ability to communicate in words verbally or in a written word, or have it explain things to you, your ability to comprehend what's going on, those parts of your brain go dark. You are an object at that point in time. A rock has better use of its agency than somebody who has lost their ability to act. Do get very good, right? Lean into those mundane reps. Do the things that are going to strengthen your cognitive musculature, your creative thinking, your critical thinking. Do the hard stuff. Lean into it. And think about it the same way that you think about doing a bench press or running a sprint or running a mile, right? It's going to be hard. It's not going to feel good. You're not going to like it while it's going on, but afterwards you're going to be stronger, and you're going to be proud of yourself for being stronger and having gotten through that thing. And you can even look around you and say, I'm doing better than all of these people that are not doing this, right? Whatever you need to do to tell yourself, Do personal projects. Go out of your way to do things that you're not required to do. You're required to do things for work and for school. Do extra things. If you want to get good at something, go make that thing happen. Do that thing. Lean into it. And when you do use AI, be willing for that part of your brain to go dark. And be willing to sacrifice the benefits that you would have received had you done the work yourself, right? You cannot expect physical strength and speed and health if you don't go and use your body, right? And just the same way, you cannot expect critical thinking, creativity, comprehension, the ability to speak or write if you don't use that part of your brain. So anything that you turn over to the machine, that part of your brain goes dark. You can do that if it doesn't matter to you, but you do that because you choose to. Be very, very careful about what you turn over. And then finally, go make stuff, right? Go make stuff happen. Be an agent unto yourself. Create the life that you want. Don't wait to live, but create it now. Do the things that are going to give you what you want now. Every day you should be doing something to act on your own behalf and your own benefit. Okay, so that's what I've got. Any questions or thoughts? So there's some thoughts on whether or not you should use AI and what happens to your brain when you do. I'd love to hear what you think. Don't make parts of your brain go dark. Avoid using AI as much as you possibly can. And if you want to see my comic that's got those types of themes, a community of insects that are fighting the tech bros that are trying to take over their way of life, you can check that out at coreykerr.com/comic, and you can subscribe at coreykerr.com/rage. Catch you guys later. Go make stuff.